If you were watching TV and I put a big bowl of chips in front of you and I said to you, bet you can't eat just one, do you think you would be able to stop munching after just one chip? That slogan, bet you can't eat just one, was one of the longest running ads in television history. The series of potato chip commercials launched in the mid-'60s, and the first one featured a split screen of a well-known actor, and then the actor dressed up as the devil. And so the devil, the red-horned, pointy-tailed demon, tempts the look-alike with an open bag of chips. Bet you can't eat just one. And after the first bite, the actor grabs the chips out of the devil's hands and wolfs the rest of them down. They are irresistible. No one can eat just one. And over the past 50 years, we've seen a parade of actors and athletes and well-known celebrities in the commercials, and all of them tried to stop after eating one, but guess what? They couldn't. The urge for another chip was so strong that they couldn't resist. It's a clever slogan, and I think the reason it's had such a successful run is that it's true. It's hard to eat just one. It's tough to eat one. You open the bag and you tell yourself, I'm just going to have a few. And before you know it, you've eaten them all. Has that ever happened to you? Chips aren't really my thing, but ice cream? Oh, give me some ice cream. And yeah, happened to me the other week. It was gone before I knew it. And it's not just food that's difficult to resist. It's hard to put on the brakes in other areas of our lives as well, like anger or lust, resentment, self-pity, addictions, for spending, self-indulgence, procrastination. The problem isn't that we don't know that these things are bad for us. We know that they are. The challenge is having the self-control to do what we know we ought to do. Paul tells Titus in chapter 2, verse 4 and 5, that older women are to train the young women to be self-controlled. Now, the quality of self-control isn't just for women. It's mentioned in the book of Titus for elders and for older men and for younger men. Everybody needs self-control. But I think there are aspects of self-control that a woman who's been there, done that, can teach another woman more effectively than a man. For example, how to exercise self-control at that time of the month. Or during those years of exhaustion, nursing babies and caring for toddlers, or when our hormones are completely rewiring our emotional systems. As a woman, we can help each other. As women, we can help each other handle the challenges of life from a woman's point of view. A girlfriend can tell you, honey, that's just your hormones talking. Can you imagine if your husband tried to tell you that? Self-control isn't exclusive to womanhood, but it does have a unique gender-specific application. And that's why Paul instructed older women to teach the younger women this very important trait. Now, self-control is the I will power to say yes to what's good, and the I won't power to say no to what's bad. And I can't claim to have arrived. Self-control is a battle for me, as I'm sure it is for you. There are some areas in my life, exercise, for example, where I constantly take 2 steps forward and a step and a half back, sometimes 3 steps back. When we know what we ought to do, but don't do it, we lack self-control. When we've had more than enough to eat, but we have another serving anyhow. We lack self-control. When we stay up late watching TV, when we know we have to be up early the next morning, we lack self-control. When we procrastinate in paying our bills and get slapped with late penalties, we lack self-control. When we spend and never save, we lack self-control. When we can spare hours for social media, but not a minute for reading our Bible, we lack self-control. When our emotions are controlled by circumstances, we lack self-control. When we spend rashly without thinking, we lack self-control. When we're big on intent and small on follow-through, we lack self-control. Every New Year, scores of people make resolutions to exercise greater self-control. But a staggering 92% of resolutions are never kept. 80% fail in less than 3 weeks. People just can't seem to do what they want to do. Self-help books coach us to come up with better strategies to increase our willpower and increase the odds of our success. But this doesn't generally address the underlying problem. According to the Bible, self-control is more of a mind and a heart issue than a matter of personal management. Self-control is a lifelong challenge and a lifelong pursuit, and thankfully we can, through God's power, experience significant progress and victory in this area of our lives. The Greek word for self-control is sophron, and the definition is hard to capture in just one English word. The first part of the word, so, means safe or sound. The second part, phren, means mind, which likely comes from an ancient Greek word, phreo, to rein in or to curb. Essentially, sophron means having a safe, sound, reined-in mind. Sophron is a person who acts like they're in their right mind, spiritually speaking. It's an adjective. It describes who we are more than it describes what we do. Sophron enables us to have self-controlled behavior, but it all starts with a sound and self-controlled, reined-in mind. Women, let me tell you that in your battle against sin, the victory will be won or lost on the battleground of your mind. It's interesting to me that the modern Greek uses the word frena for car brakes, and it's also interesting that the word for handbrake in Spanish is what? Freno de mano. The word for brake in these modern languages comes from the same root as that second syllable of sophron. And the concept I want you to remember and to grasp is that self-control involves putting on the brakes. Brake failures are so dangerous. Just recently, 16 middle school children, they were on a school field trip, all on a swim team, suffered injuries and were all taken to the hospital when their bus experienced brake failure and turned over just down the road from here. Without self-control, we have little or no defense against sin and temptation. And just like when brakes fail on a vehicle, there's nothing to prevent an impending